Hi, I'm Fred Humple with Highway to Hell. Welcome to this episode of Behind the Scenes with the Cast. I am the manager, writer, mad doctor, instigator, whatever title you want to give me with this. Today we're going to talk with one of our cast members, get to know a little bit about them, maybe a little bit about their character. We might mix in a little bit of God. I don't know where this thing's going to go. We'll find out. Hopefully you get something out of it, whether you might be entertained by our antics back and forth. Maybe we hit on something a little bit meaningful that you could apply to your own life and make life better for you. Or maybe you just gain a deeper appreciation for what it is we do here. I don't care what you get out of it, as long as you get something out of it. Now, without further ado. So today we have Quentin with us, also known as Q. This will be our 5th season. You've been with us for 4 seasons?
4 seasons, yeah.
You've been here all 4 seasons. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Played Satan last year. Mm-hmm. Before that was kind of our understudy for Satan with Christian. And then before that, just kind of roamed around with characters and stuff.
Yeah.
So Quentin's been a lot of fun with us. You may also hear him referred to as Q. Anyway, so with the character Satan.
Yeah.
How fun has that character been for you?
Oh, dude. Dude, it has to be, I would honestly say it is probably, I don't know. I've played a few characters here, and I would say it's one of the funnest.
I imagine. You get to go on a tirade against on the customer, so yeah.
Right. It's definitely one of those things where you need to be mentally prepared for it.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those roles that it can be taken in a not so good lighting.
Yeah, it's deep and dark.
Yeah, very. And so, but no, it's so much fun just getting, because you're like, you want them to understand what you're saying, but at the same time it's fun to scare them.
Yeah.
It's fun to get them shivering a little bit, but it's trying to get that message through.
Yeah. So has that character had an impact on your life or your faith? At all? If so, like, how is that integrated into real world for Quentin?
Right. Well, I feel like the character of Satan, when you play the character of Satan, and me doing this, and you'll hear Christian later on, but it's definitely one of those where it is a darker role, and there's a lot of good that can come out of it, but at the same time, you are you're portraying the devil. You're portraying Satan, the evilest, if you will. Mm-hmm. But like, there's a point to that where you need to understand that shows a side of you that, like, I didn't even know I had.
Right.
Being that, and like, because it is more of a voice, because you have 2 different voices playing this, and so you have the guy that comes out from behind the curtain. And then you have the guy that starts it off. And the guy that starts it off, you're mellow. You're trying to get them to understand what you're saying, but you still want them to feel like almost the happy, kind of funny, angry behind it.
He's a smoozer,
right?
He's a sly, very appealing person,
right? So it's and using, and I don't know, I go back to the voices, because when you incorporate the voice and you act like somebody else, you kind of have to be a part of that person to kind of understand how to play it. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it is kind of a scarier thing when you're thinking about, okay, how would the devil actually, how do you think he would actually react in this? Or like, to try and figure out the best way to play it. So in that, being in real life, it's like God gives you that side. I don't want to say to scare away predators or to seem threatening, but to you have to have you have to be loving. You have to have a little bit of a rough shell, if you will, to be able to take the hits from the enemy, right?
Defend yourself.
Right. So, in that, you also need to understand the balance between that and compassion.
Yeah.
And how that works. And you can ask anybody here. I'm a loving person. I love everybody. I have so much love to give, and I love to love. So, that being said, me seeing this character, it might not seem like that.
For those of you that don't know, Quentin is the party child of the group here. He likes to have a good time.
Yes.
But yeah, so what you're saying is that character lets you know how dark the human character can get.
Yes.
And it lets you know that, hey, I need to be wary.
Right.
I need to be conscious of where I let myself go.
Yeah, and it kind of gave me a sense of what I need to fight against.
Nice.
So what are things that are going to be, because like in the thing, it literally talks about temptations. It talks about things like that. So it's one of those things where the character helps you to be more aware.
Nice.
And understand where your pitfalls are, which everybody has pitfalls.
Yeah.
So you got to know.
We do. And if you don't think you do, you're being ignorant.
Right.
And then just time out. If you see me sweating, it's because it's summertime and we're inside the haunt and there is no air conditioning.
It is quite hot in here.
Anyway, so that's Satan. That's your character. Let's talk about Q. Let's talk about Quentin. You are 18 years old now.
Yep.
Okay, and out of school, working as a mechanic. You still live at home with your grandma, who is a pastor of a church. So that would lead a lot of people to believe that you're extremely biblically knowledgeable, got this deep faith. Has being a part of Highway to Hell changed any of that for you? Or, because sometimes God puts us in places where we're growing ourselves, and sometimes God puts us in places where we're helping to grow others. And I know you're a great influence on the rest of the cast and crew. I'm just wondering about you, where do you feel your place is here?
Right. So, like you said, I grew up in a pastoral home, so that leaves you with, I don't know. There's certain things that I would say I would think about hard in certain areas. So, like, for example, when working at Highway to Hell, we have a great group of people.
We do.
I
love our cast and crew.
I feel like that's probably my favorite thing about Highway to Hell is the group of people here and how we can talk to each other about anything and how well we just mesh together. But in that
it's a big family.
Oh yeah, no, and I love it because it feels like a big family. So I would feel like Highway to Hell impacted me in. It almost goes back to, okay, so I'm a mechanical technician, so I work on cars, and that field's a little rough. It's a little rough around our edges. Not very many people in that field really are Christians, so it's a rougher field to be in. So you kind of have to have same like the character. You have to have a basis of, I need to keep myself separate. I need to put up a barrier there. I love playing Satan, but I have to have a barrier there to know the difference between me and the character.
Yeah.
It's the same thing at work. I have to have a difference between the people that are at work that I have to experience all day, listening to death metal all day and whatever, and then getting out of that and still being the loving, godly person that I want to be.
Right.
So, in growing up in a pastoral home, I've known I've always wanted to do something for the church. I love helping people. I've had a crazy life, and so it gives me an opportunity where I can relate to people really easily and show people how God can help them through whatever they're going through.
Yeah.
So, with that, it's just, I love youth in general. So I feel like I I don't know if I'm really called to it yet. I'm still deciphering that. But I want to get into youth pastoral. And this has kind of helped me with that. Yeah. Because of the people, because we see people come through all the time. Mm-hmm. Different shapes, sizes, backgrounds, and and they come through here, and we've had people come through here that are drunk, and they just stumble
Absolutely.
through.
Absolutely.
And that's crazy.
Those are some of the fun ones.
They are.
Really.
They are. But that's the things that we experience. We've had people come through that are like that. We've people come through that are angry at the end and that were super mad about it. And then we have people that come through that like they were touched by it.
Yep.
And they felt the Holy Spirit moving through them.
Absolutely.
And that is something where seeing that and seeing, like, we've had a kid break down in here before, and seeing that, it makes it makes me want to, like, minister to kids and teens even more.
Yeah.
And so how I gotta incorporate that between my job and that is another thing, but it definitely, I feel like Highwood definitely has helped with that and helped me to discern that a little bit and understand where I'm at on that.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it's definitely, there's a lot of stuff that goes on here.
So you say you've had a rough upbringing. Do you want to elaborate on that for the viewers so they can kind of see what God's brought you through?
Yeah, no, for sure.
So I know bits and pieces. You've spent most of your life living with your grandma. How'd that come to be?
So when I was about 5 years old, my mom married a new guy. His name was Dustin, and they got married, and they had my brother and sister. And at the time being, my mom was not necessarily in the best place, and they were moving to a new state, and my mom did not know how she was going to take care of me and two newborns. So it was a hard decision between my mom and my grandma, but I ended up leaving with my grandma and went to Virginia. Okay. So I was raised about from the age of 5 to where I am now in Virginia. Now, my mom's been in and out of my life, never had a dad in my life. My grandpa was the closest thing I had to a father, and he was very military man mindset, and he was an Army Ranger, and he spent most of his life doing that.
But every time you've talked about him to me, he was a great influence on you.
Oh, super.
Awesome dude.
Taught me tons of discipline, taught me tons of stuff. Definitely, and everybody has their, like we said, everybody has their pitfalls.
Yeah.
And some of his was, he had a lot of aggression from that.
Okay.
And so that, I kind of, my whole life growing up, I got to deal with fighting parents a lot.
Okay.
So I had to experience that with my mom and her multiple husbands that she had, and my grandma, my grandpa. They loved each other. They were together for like 30 years, and then my grandpa died like, I think 3 years ago. But they fought quite often. And so growing up in that, you kind of learn to block things out and not really realize what's going on. But no, my mom was in and out of prison, me growing up, and in and out of drug houses, and she's still dealing with a lot of that. And I didn't get to really, I saw my brother and sister when they were babies, but I didn't really remember it. Yeah. I didn't really meet my brother and sister until they were 10.
Okay.
So it's definitely, my whole life has been an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the times I would go for months and I would spend time with my mom over summers and things like that, and being in drug houses and having cops bust in on us and having me drug off to foster homes for a couple weeks and trying to live that life. And that leads you with a lot of stuff that there's not time to dig into.
And that's hard to process for teen and younger people. So yeah, you've had a lot of stuff to come through, and the fact that you are such a happy-go-lucky guy is a testament to what God and Jesus can do in people's lives.
Oh, for sure.
I admire you for coming out so bright from such a dark area,
And there's an extent to it where you have to. Because, I'm sorry.
Well, not everybody does.
No, but that's what I was about to say. My brother has had a very similar life to me.
Yeah.
My sister's kind of been the baby, so she's been taken care of and kind of shunned from things, and not really, but like, me and my brother kind of took a brunt of a lot of the stuff that was going on. Mm-hmm. And my brother deals with a lot of mental health compared to me. But then again, I had my grandma and my grandpa that kind of taught me that Jesus was the way, and taught me how to go through and how you can talk to God and how He can help you through that. And so I feel like there's almost a choice in that where you can either be like, well, it is what it is,
Yeah.
and go on.
Yep.
And you kind of have to have that mentality of, I know that I'm going to have certain issues because of the life that I was brought into. And I deal with stuff from that all the time. And a lot of the people here have heard me talk about that stuff because everybody needs somebody to talk to.
Yep.
But no, it's definitely God helped me to pick the road that led me to being the happy-go-lucky guy and being the guy that, like, I love to lift people up. I love seeing smiles on everybody's faces.
I know you
And you'll see that in the way that I act. I'm crazy, I'm fun, I'm energetic, and I'm a little hyper because I have ADHD, but like I love seeing people smile. I love seeing people laugh, and it hurts my heart when I see people cry and being sad. So because I spent so much time in that, I saw a lot of sad and crying and depressed and down, and now it's just like all I want is the love and the happy.
So yeah, if you come out, you see Satan, and you really did get a bad vibe from that character, come find Satan outside the haunt. After you get out, we got some time in between shows, find Satan outside the haunt. He'll be a totally different person. He'll lift you up, I promise.
Yes. Some people have said almost bipolar. It's a little weird. But it is. You gotta have that. To be an actor, you gotta have that.
Yes.
Flip the light switch.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in character now. Deep, dark, scary. And then back out. Yay. Alright, we're here. We're happy.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be with my friends.
And that's something I am so appreciative of our whole cast. They're very passionate about what we do, so
Yes.
they get into their characters. Ulrich with his character, Grease, he gets into it. Christian, our other Satan, these guys battle for that position. They love that. They love that character.
It's definitely a fun one.
He gets into that. Cassie with her character, she gets into that with her screams and stuff. Our Jesus, Gary playing Jesus, he spends hours trying to refine what he says to be as good of a Jesus as he can.
Yep.
And I love that about everybody in our group, that they're so passionate about what we do.
We talk about it all year round too.
I know.
Like
it's
we've been
close.
talking since like a month after. I can't wait till next haunt season. This is going to be so much fun next year. I have so many ideas. It's so, and it's really, yes. It gets towards the end of the season. It gets tiring.
We're worn out.
We're worn out.
We're working hard.
We're getting worn down. But it's a lot of like, we get to hang out with you guys, and we get to see all the changes that you guys have and all the happiness. But then again, this is it's a happy thing, but it is more of a doom and gloom type of an event.
Yeah.
So
Well, we're during the Halloween season.
right.
People want a scary show, so that's what we're putting on. We're
Right.
giving them a show.
Right.
As much as we're portraying a message, it's also a show. So, if you're out there, you're watching this, you're not real religious, don't want anything to do with it, that's fine. Come out, just enjoy the show.
Just have fun.
You're totally allowed to do that. And we're going to give you the best show we can without being pushy about stuff.
Yeah, no. And the more you play into it, the funner it's going to get. I've had people that walk in here and have no reaction, and they're just, well, whatever, and then walk out the door. No, the more you get into it, the more you're going to get out of it. It's one of those things, and that's with every haunted house. If you play into it, you're going to have way more fun. I guarantee it, because I'm going to act different, and I know everybody else is going to act different towards it too, and it just makes it an all-around better experience.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Well, Quentin, I thank you for your time.
Sir.
Hopefully our viewers got something out of today, and we'll see you this next season.
come see me.